The following excerpt I'm about to play for you is from a video entitled Would the World Be Better Without Religion? This is from a channel that is undoubtedly a Marxist communist type of channel. So I'm going to assume, at least generally speaking, that they believe in communism and they believe in the Marxist ideology. And I'm also going to assume that you will like, share, and subscribe to this amazing video. Now that being said,
well, let's talk about the big man, the prophet, the bearded one, Karl Marx. Religion is the opiate of the masses is one of the single most misunderstood lines. He's saying it is the sigh of an oppressed creature, it is the heart in a heartless world. That he says, in order to criticize society and see things as they truly are, you first have to criticize religion.
At the very beginning of the montage, she assumes some guy is a prophet. And by the end of it, she tells you what you must do in order to see something profound.
The prophet, the bearded one, Karl Marx, you first have to criticize religion.
Now, during the middle of the clip, she gives you a viewpoint or a lens to view the world through, while seemingly being fully confident that this is the true perspective of reality.
He's saying it is the sigh of an oppressed creature, it is the heart in a heartless world. In order to criticize society and see things as they truly are.
Now, when we put all three of these things together, she's claiming there is a person she believes to be a prophet, and apparently this prophet has the power to see reality for what it is, right? So while you don't, apparently he does. And then apparently he can teach you how to view reality for what it really is, as long as you do what he says, and you do it in the exact way that he said it. Now, in all fairness, the controversy that I'm pointing out here is that isn't this woman the most religious of all? I'm not really commenting on religion, but what I'm saying is that when you put it all together, isn't that just terrifying if we consider how much sway communism has over people and just how many people it has affected? Should we really be giving communists this license to covertly claim that they themselves have this profound and true vision of reality above everybody else who is not communist? Should we really entertain that? Now I'm going to play you another clip of a popular communist trying to convince you to follow communism. I mean, basically he's trying to convince you to give your life to communism. And his reasoning is that communism, apparently Marxism, is some type of direct reflection of reality.
A process that enables people, it goes back to the whole point about science too, it enables people to understand the world as it actually is, where the interests of the masses of humanity, of which they are a part, actually lie, actually are, and how to go about transforming things in accordance with those interests. That's the fundamental thing of it. Proceeds according to a certain scientific method. It involves an understanding of learning from people, but as we've been talking about, also struggling with people to get them to have a scientific understanding and approach, so that it's not just a handful, but a growing number of people who are approaching the world and the question of changing the world in accordance with how the world actually is, the way it needs to be changed in order to be in line with the interests of the great masses of people in the world, and how to go about making that happen.
The point of the matter is, imagine trying to convince somebody of something, and the way you do it is you tell them that whatever you're saying is now the scientific method, and then you get them to believe you. I think the name of the game is that if you're going to convince people to join some massive social movement that's going to require a lot of painful effort, and for them to basically sever their previous lives, if you just tell them that it's all part of the scientific method, I guess they will believe you. Now, I want to tell you, I did cut out a couple of words from this clip, and it was mostly related to the word leadership. That's because the context of this question was related to the communist organizers, or the small group of people who will lead everybody else, allegedly.
I want to take the last period of this interview to return to some really important questions about leadership, about your leadership in particular, and back to the immediate moment we face. Very, very widespread in society today is the notion, especially among progressive people, decent people, young people who want positive change, that leadership is a bad thing. And I wonder if you could speak about what is leadership and what is communist leadership in particular, and why should people follow your leadership?
Well, first of all, let's get that one thing straight. People are being led all the time by forces that are standing above them, and in effect, in real terms, dictating to them. Terms are being set for them and dictated to them by the very operation of the system. It hems people in and forces them in all kinds of ways to do all kinds of things, and prevents them from doing all kinds of things. So the idea that you're somehow existing in a vacuum, not being led, and no terms are being set for your life, is completely contrary to the essential reality. So people are being led all the time. That's the first thing. That's what leadership, and in particular communist leadership, is. So that's the answer to that, in basic terms, to that question.
Now, I feel like this is just a masterclass of deception. Because remember the original controversy, okay? In this video in particular, I'm pointing out the controversy where communists somehow are making you believe that whatever they say is the actual reflection of reality. But then there is the other controversy of a small group of people leading the masses to some type of utopia, which often results in a lot of corruption and some of the worst human suffering, if not the worst human suffering, we have ever seen in the entire history of humankind, which is an obvious controversy. And then this communist, in order to justify it to you, he unbelievably goes off in a tangent about how everybody is being led all the time. I mean, is that supposed to be a revelation? We all know that already. The controversy was the immeasurable dangers that the communist leadership could put people in if they take power. But instead, he sidesteps the entire controversy by just simply observing what is the most obvious. And then somehow this is evidence that whatever the guy is about to say thereafter is now correct, or an exact reflection of reality. And what's really sad about all this is you have the communist youth, and they think that whatever they're telling you is somehow the ultimate truth. The communist youth, they're like hot air balloons that have been pumped up and pumped up and pumped into the sky. And these are the reasons why it is so hard to get them back down again. Now let's go back to the first video that we watched. And I want to highlight and contextualize when the woman says, "the heart in a heartless world."
He's saying it is the sigh of an oppressed creature, it is the heart in a heartless world.
In nearly a single breath, she claims that Karl Marx, of all people, fully understood the complete heart of humankind. The very heart of civilization and the relationship between human beings and nature. The true knowledge of reality, the true knowledge of human life itself, and what specifically human beings should do with that human life. It's as if she's telling you that she knows the purpose of life, and all you have to do is follow the philosopher that she subscribes to. This is incredibly wild when you think about it. So the next time you see a communist youth or organizer fervently attempting to convince other people that communism is true, you have to realize that no matter what the communist says, it is certainly not a direct reflection of reality itself. It is simply a worldview based upon a narrow-minded philosophy of an extremely questionable individual named Karl Marx. And once you realize that, you will discover that this is precisely what the communist is unable to consider for themselves.